everyone for coming here and for being at the Lillian Marrero Library in this live broadcast that we have today. Today we are celebrating a lot of hard work that people have been putting, and we want to tell you about this. So the Free Library of Philadelphia, the Department of Public Health, and PhillyCam have been working here in North Philadelphia in the community creating health programming. And this is all through a new initiative called the Healthy Communities Initiative, which is a partnership between the Free Library of Philadelphia, the Department of Public Health, Get Healthy Philly, which is a program within the Department of Public Health. And they want to do a community-based approach into improving the health of Philadelphians. And so here we are. We're going to be talking with some folks that have been participants or that have been leading this effort. And we just wanted to share it with you and get to know each other, get to build community, and also inform more people about this programs and this initiative, this new initiative. Okay? So the first thing that we're going to be doing today is we're going to be having a culinary demonstration with Claire Richardson, and she's going to be teaching us some stuff. But first, I am also going to do an introduction in Spanish, because a lot of our audience and the community here in Philly, in this area, is Spanish-speaking. Okay? So I'm going to do that, and then we're going to move with Claire. So, bienvenidos a todos los que están acá en la Biblioteca Lillian Marrero en North Philadelphia. Hoy día estamos teniendo una transmisión en vivo para celebrar un trabajo grande que ha hecho la Biblioteca Pública, the Free Library of Philadelphia, y el Departamento de Salud Pública, the Department of Public Health, estamos haciendo un esfuerzo para lograr que la comunidad sea más saludable con mucha participación de la comunidad. La idea es que la comunidad tenga una voz y participe en las decisiones que se están tomando alrededor de sus vidas y alrededor de su salud. La iniciativa se llama Healthy Communities Initiative y es una colaboración entre el Departamento de Salud Pública y la Biblioteca de Filadelfia, la Biblioteca Pública de Filadelfia. Y estamos hoy día tratando de celebrar y de que nos conozcamos mejor para mejorar la comunidad en sí. ¿Okay? Y ahora vamos a tener una demostración de cocina para todos. Alrighty, so here we have Claire Richardson. Thank you so much for being here, and you are going to teach us some cooking. You are part of the Culinary Literacy Center, right?
The Culinary Literacy Center at the Philadelphia Library. The
Wonderful.
Main branch, yeah.
Wonderful.
1901 branch.
Thank you so much for being here. What are you going to teach us?
Today we're going to learn a recipe from A Taste of African Heritage. It's called garlicky greens. Now, the reason we're learning this recipe today is we're trying to introduce a different way of cooking collard greens to the community. Now, most African American people cook their collard greens, one, way too long, two, with too much fat, and not the right kind of fat, is usually animal fat, and putting a lot of salt in the greens. Today we're going to learn how to make the greens with just a little bit of olive oil. To get that smoky flavor instead of meat, we're going to use Dijon mustard. I know, first time I heard it too, I was like, huh? But it actually
skeptical.
came out great. And for our salt taste, we're going to use lemon. Lemon is the new salt, in case anyone isn't aware of that. And if there is someone who would need salt, we have pink Himalayan salt. Now, I know that sounds really exotic, but it's been around for a long time. Pink Himalayan salt does not have the same effect on your blood pressure as typical table salt, white table salt. Okay, I'm sure if you eat too much of it, like anything, it wouldn't be good for you, but it has, not as harmful, the effects. Okay, so you want to coat your bottom of your pan with the olive oil. Now, with like any recipe, if you're interested in this recipe, go to ATOAH, A Taste of African Heritage.org, and this recipe is there. But like any recipe, you don't want to put too much oil because then you taste a lot of oil and that's not good. But for the first recipe, every time you want to follow a recipe, follow it to the letter the first time. And then you can add your things. At home, I like spicy stuff. I add seed pepper. I add cayenne pepper. That's me at home. But for this recipe, I'm going to show you how to make it according to the recipe in the book, okay? Which is still tasty. Don't mind, it's still good. Okay, so we have our olive oil. So we're going to add our olive oil and our onion. Now, your onion does not have to be perfect. I see a lot of chef shows. I am not a chef. I am someone they call a food educator. I got involved in this program by going to the library through a partner organization that I happen to work for, Taste of African Heritage. We support one another with all of our partner organizations. So I went and I thought, you know, let's do this. Let me go. I don't want to go. It's after work. I want to go home, blah, blah, blah. So I went, and they were making this food. And they had the food, and they, you know, the girl was saying, oh, we're going to put Dijon mustard in the greens, and we're going to, and I was like, oh, Lord, who are these people, and where did they come from with these recipes? So I decided, all right, I'll be quiet. I'll just let them cook. So they made so many different recipes from the Taste of African Heritage. Nobody there was a culinary chef, not one person. So they made the recipes, and I literally had to say, oh my goodness, you have completely shut me up. I'm just going to go home, eat this, make it, look up all the recipes and started making them. And then in doing that, I started coming to all the classes. So then they were like, you need to come and teach this. And I thought, what? I'm not going to teach this.
Here she is.
Here I am doing this. And I have to admit, I do make these at home. I have a son. He's very picky. He's on the autism spectrum. They're very particular about what they like. If they like something, they like it. They rarely want to try anything else. But he'll eat the greens. So I don't push it. I don't give him a hard time about it. The one thing about these, the onions, once they start cooking, they kind of come apart. It's no big deal. And there's no particular way to cut them. I was watching a cooking show, and the lady started cutting the onion, and the chef was like, it's going to take it no matter how she cuts it. I don't know what the big deal is. So you just cut it. And I tend to let them get a little brown because that brings out the flavor in the onions. Now, in the recipe book, they don't tell you that. But I think if you let them get a little bit toasty, that really, it's like fried onions, you know what I mean, on a whatever. It has a really good effect. So you just want to stir them around. Once they start cooking, they'll start to break up, and that's fine. Oh, good. And that's fine. Secondly, these are called garlicky greens because you're using about 6 to 8 cloves of garlic in the greens. And I know that sounds like a lot, but I tried the greens without as much garlic. It doesn't taste the same. Now you want to cook your onions a little bit at first before you add your garlic. And I'm not one of those people that want to stand there and chop up 20 cloves of garlic. I'm not doing that. So I use a microplane. And most people, microplane. If you have so much time to show, you know, students this recipe, you don't have time to stand up here cutting up 20 things of garlic. Listen, that's hard work for me. I'm trying to make this as easy as possible. So we start with our garlic.
I have a thing for garlic that you put the garlic inside and then you press it and then it comes out like
I have that too, but you know, there are ways. They say if you want a certain flavor, you chop it. If you want a stronger flavor, I think it's chopped. If you want a not as intense flavor, you want to put it through that garlic.
The mush it, okay.
Yeah, I just do what works for me. So we're getting this in there. It's heating up nice.
Do you do this at low heat, medium heat?
Well, I start off with the heat a little high because I want the onions to get brown, okay? In the book will tell you that you can eat the greens. I mean, it depends on you at a certain point. I personally don't like my greens not as cooked, but I don't like them wilted either. There's a company that has greens in a can. They come out wilted to me. I prefer fresh greens and not as wilted. Does anybody have any questions on? Every time I make this, people come down if they're not in the class. And I don't mind at all.
I have a question.
Yes.
I do a lot of recipes at home, a lot of them, and I don't use that much garlic because I don't like them at all. But
Right.
How,
You can always use garlic powder.
how
It
did-
would be less
how-
intense.
How did you get? How would you get garlic powder from, and where would you?
They
get it?
dry. Oh, garlic powder, you can get that in any store. Now, that's the other thing I wanted to tell you, that you don't have to spend a ton of money to do this. My salt and pepper came from Family Dollar. Well, not the Himalayan salt. I got that from Trader Joe's. My mustard came from Aldi. My olive oil came from Aldi. You don't have to, like, go crazy when you're doing it. I think we're good on the garlic. So now, you want to stir it up, and it's starting to get a little brown. And there are people who say, oh, the garlic is bitter and it's brown. I personally don't think so.
I'm getting hungry already.
So for your greens, you want to wash them. You can cut them. They were pre-cut, for the class. But I want to tell you, want to hear that sizzle too. And then you put the lid on it for a bit. But I want to tell you, this is not as much water. I'm not sticking these greens in a pot of water. You want to get them a little singed on the ends, just a tiny bit, for a little more flavor, okay? Once I turn them around, I'll add a little bit of water. But I highly recommend that you don't throw the stems out. A lot of people throw their stems out. I went to agriculture school and I was told by the professor that stems, and which I know, but when somebody tells you who's been a farmer since he was 10 years old and he's 80 years old and he's still teaching at the university, I kind of take his word. And he said that the stems take the nutrients to the leaves, which we all know that. Why do we cut out the nutrients? So if there are a lot of people, older people, my family will tell me, oh, it makes it so tough. If you cut it smaller, it won't be as tough, but just to please them, I'll take the stems out and I freeze them because I use the stems, the tops of my carrots, everything for vegetable stock. Anything I would have normally thrown away, all those little pepper seeds that we take off from the peppers and we throw in the tray, no. Put it in the bag, in the freezer bag, make your vegetable stock. You can strain it afterwards so you don't have any little seeds in it, but it's worth it. It's better than buying that stuff in the box, because I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of sodium in that stuff in the box.
That's awesome. Is it okay if I ask you a few questions while you cook?
By all
Yes?
means.
Awesome. So what does health and wellness mean to you?
Health and wellness means to me that I can function on a daily basis based on the food I'm eating, and the way I live my life. I exercise, I walk a lot. But health and wellness to me means that I am not going to wind up in a situation where, because I didn't take care of my body, in a situation where I'm only like 60 years old, which, people have different illnesses that cause things. But at 60 years old, if I'm relatively healthy, why can't I bend down and tie my shoes? Do you know what I mean? Why do I need to ask my son or whoever, can you tie my shoe for me? Those kind of things. I just always wanted to remain able to do for myself as much as I could, and not winding up with diabetes and high blood pressure and things, that aren't hereditary. Now, if they're hereditary, that's one thing, but it's not hereditary in my family. So if any of us have it, it's mainly because of our diet.
Yeah, that makes sense. What are some ingredients that you cannot live without?
I can't live without curry. Oh my goodness, I need my curry.
Okay.
I love curry. I like soy sauce, but I tend to use the low sodium soy sauce. And if I had to pick an ingredient I had to have, I honestly say it would be a seed pepper, like the seed peppers in the shaker. But you can have those from hot peppers and just dry them out yourself. It's not, people think it's so hard. I like good olive oil. Cannot live without good olive oil. You know what I'm saying? So those little things are important.
And what do you consider good olive oil? Like, what do you usually?
Extra virgin, I use this. But when I want to splurge, I will buy the cold pressed olive oil, which is a little expensive. You can't see through it because it's pressed right out of the olive and basically put in a jar for sale.
Okay. And now, what do you think are some of the issues that make people not be able to cook and eat healthy foods?
Well, for one, you don't have access to it. And we hear that all the time. But if you live a half a block away from a store and all they have is shelves and shelves of dry ingredients or canned ingredients, it's difficult to find fresh food in neighborhoods. I live right here in this neighborhood, but it's very difficult to find fresh food. So you go to the bodega at the corner. Now, through healthy, I think, store initiatives, they have lettuce, they have tomato, they have like lemons, they'll have apples, all behind a case. It doesn't look very appetizing. It looks like it's been there a while, and people aren't really buying that. So you have to ask yourself, like, we have a Save-A-Lot here, and you know, that's better than no market. But I think if we had an open farmer's market right here on this site, it would sell out every week. You know what I mean? Because people want, you know, fresh food. In most cases in the state of Pennsylvania, farmers markets only sell what grows in Pennsylvania. So you can't go to a farmer's market looking for citrus, you know, or mangoes, or, you know, like I would, but you can't. So you have to eat what's grown in Pennsylvania. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because we grow some pretty good stuff.
Are there any farmers markets here in this area that you know of?
Well, there are a couple. I know there's one at Hunting Park in Old York Road, and that's a food truck farmers market.
Is that far from here?
No, it's not. You can go right up to Hunting Park, and then Old York Road is, I guess if you go straight up Broad Street to Hunting Park, and then it's right there. When you go into the park, you make a right on Hunting Park. It's right there. You can't miss it. And they have the absolute best tomatoes, peaches, and they take SNAP. You know, and a lot of these neighborhood stores that take SNAP should be able to serve food and have food in their stores that people can actually eat to keep them healthy. You know.
Are we here in Free Library of Philadelphia?
And the Food Trust and the Food Trust Farmers Market. I love the Food Trust as well. So.
Alrighty. Also, for those of you who don't know, I don't know if I'm supposed to be saying this, but on Wednesdays here at the library, there is a program between 12:30 and 1:30. If you bring a bag, you get a free bag of produce, so fruits and vegetables. And you do not need an ID, you do not need any requirements, so you do not need to prove that you're a resident from here, you don't need anything. You just need a bag though, you do need that. So bring your own bag, and they will provide with a bag of fruits and veggies from season. There is a large line that forms, so just be ready for that. But if you're willing to pass that, you can talk to folks, you can get to know people, so it's not so bad. But yeah, it takes a little bit of time, but it's a great program that Feel Abundance and the Free Library here at Lillian Marrero have paired up. And if you know friends, if you know people, and you want to like go ahead and tell them, that's great.
When is this again?
Wednesdays between 12:30 and 1:30. It's a short window. Alrighty.
Okay, now these will be in about 10 more minutes, so, you know, we'll just let those cook while we discuss if you need anything else.
Alrighty. I think we are about to be done with this section.
Okay.
But thank you so much for this.
You're more than welcome.
So now we're going to be talking with someone from the community. Her name is Jamila Mapp. And here comes Jamila. Hi there. How are you? So we're going to be sitting here.
Okay.
Hi. Gotcha. All righty. So thank you for coming, Jamila.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time. What are some of the barriers that you think people in the community, and you in particular, have experienced to be healthier?
Well, I grew up in South Philadelphia, and at a time where South Philadelphia was not gentrified, where we have cafes now or farmers markets every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays. At that point, we weren't having any of those, so I lived in a food desert, and there wasn't any access, just like the chef said. we didn't have access to fresh vegetables. My mom cooked from cans or produce that came from the frozen food section. There was a Murray's that, had frozen meatballs that was made from meat that you don't want to even know what was in it. So things like that, it was definitely a food desert. And even though they made do what we had, it just wasn't accessible. And the knowledge wasn't there. They didn't know to use fresh herbs or fresh vegetables to make meals for their children. So I think that was a barrier for us, just knowledge in general of how to produce healthy meals at a time. So.
Okay. Can you think of any other barriers besides?
Well, money too. So fresh vegetables are expensive relatively to frozen vegetables. You can go to the 99-cent stores and buy cans of vegetables or frozen packages of spinach and things like that. So if you're raising a family of 5 as a single mother, or you don't really have the knowledge to go to a Whole Foods market or access to it, the money in general, things are expensive. So you buy what you can, you have to make the money stretch. So rather than buying a bag of fresh spinach that may be $4.99 for the package, you're going to go to the 99-cent store and get the $1 frozen pack. So just money, accessibility, and just knowledge, I think, is barriers.
Okay. So yeah, those are great ones. Who inspires you to be healthy?
Child here, and the other one is sleeping, and my family and my mother. Just seeing her chronic illness, I don't want to be that way. I don't want my kids to be that way. And 99% of most of the diseases that most people have for chronic illness comes from diet. You can pretty much reverse most of your diseases by living on a plant-based diet or limiting the meats you have, limiting the ingredients you use that are not healthy. So these children are my motivation to live healthier because they need me just as much as I need them. So.
Is there a lot of chronic disease besides your mother in your family, and within the people that you know?
In the African American community, you have diabetes, which my grandmother had. I had 2 aunts that died from cancer. My grandmother died from diabetes. My father-in-law has MS. So things that just continue to grow, and our community, I've seen cancer just kill off family members. Lots of family members have passed away from those diseases. Diabetes again, just many types of diseases. Just being able to walk, is not diagnosed as a disease, but you have people who are just overweight in general and they can't even move. So those are things that plague our communities, that hinder us from growing.
Absolutely. And what are some tips, some things that you do in this effort to stay healthy and to not follow some of those patterns or some of those things that you've seen?
Well, social media is a big help these days. There are lots of plant-based eaters, a movement. You have African American community, going back to plant-based eating because we were the first plant eaters. Coming from Africa, most people didn't eat meat a lot anyway. So now with social media as a movement, younger family members are reverting back to plant-based eating. So for my family, I say we're vegan-ish. We still do partake in some meats here and there, some cheeses here and there, but for the most part, we eat a plant-based diet, and that consists of beans, legumes, lentils, and we remix meals. So some of our comfort food that I like to enjoy, like sloppy joe growing up, my mom used meat. Or like canned sloppy joe, I use lentils instead with onions and peppers and collards, and making my collards healthier like her, using honey and red onions and lemon and vinegar and things like that. So yeah, that's my effort. And my effort is also on children. They have limited amounts of sugar because sugar is really the drug that is killing everyone. So they have limited amounts. We use raw sugar, we use date sugar. So just really reading and researching just how you can use different ingredients to remix your meals that you once loved into something healthier and can continue to love.
Awesome.
So we make vegan donuts, but just simple ingredients like flour and date sugar and coconut sugar. So things like that, you can really just add staples to your household in order to have a healthier meal.
That was wonderful, Jamila.
Thank
What
you.
a source of knowledge you are. Thank you so much for that. Yes, please. That was amazing. Thank you so much for your time and for being here and for sharing with us some of your personal stories and what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
What do you say after?
You're welcome. All righty. Let's go. Is this ready now? Can we eat now? You want to stay? You can stay. That's cool with me. You're going to have some, there you go. Everyone, we're going to have a lot of people now. So next, we're going to invite Amanda Wegner. I am going to read this because it's a lot. She is the Nutrition and Physical Activity Program Manager, overseeing the Get Healthy Philly within the Division of Chronic Disease Prevention at the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. So here she comes. Thank you. Yeah, please. And here is Nula also, which is Amanda's daughter. So we have the whole family here. All righty. Thank you for being here, Amanda, as well.
Thank you.
I'm going to start the same initial question that I'm asking everyone. What does health and wellness mean to you?
So to me, health and wellness means not just that you're not sick. I think it's the wellness piece of that is really important. So it's not just that we don't have disease, but that we really individually and as communities have what we need to thrive and survive. And I think part of it too that we've been talking about more and more at the health department is having joy and healing and sort of recognizing trauma as well. So it's not just about the absence of things that we don't want, but how can we make sure that we all have what we need together. And another piece of that is really thinking about healthy individuals need healthy communities. So what are the ways that the neighborhoods where we live can make it harder or easier to be healthy, and how can we recognize and address the ways that historical, institutional, structural discrimination, racism, sexism, like all of those isms that are sort of taking individuals and communities and sort of making it hard. How do we acknowledge that and then work with people in those neighborhoods and really have folks decide what they want to see that can help them be healthy and well. So trying to think about that concept of health justice too.
Absolutely. Going with that, I had some conversations with folks from this community, and something that came up was crime in relationship to access to food. So someone mentioned there's a truck that sells veggies in a certain area of this neighborhood, but she doesn't like going to that area because she feels it's dangerous. And so even though the truck is there, she did not feel safe enough to go to this truck.
Right.
And so again, kind of like the structural and like environmental concerns that sometimes are not kind of like put into that equation. So tell us, what is Get Healthy Philly?
So Get Healthy Philly is the other name for Philadelphia's Department of Health, the Division of Chronic Disease Prevention. So, and that prevention piece is what I'd mentioned before. So it's both helping folks that do have heart disease, diabetes, stroke, the chronic diseases we have, helping them, but then also thinking about the ways that we can prevent or reduce the impacts of those chronic diseases for individuals and communities. So we try to do work across different departments in the city, but also different places in neighborhoods throughout Philadelphia to really think about how can we make sure we have access to healthy, delicious, affordable food, have access to healthy beverages and water, have access to joyful movement. So not just, I have to exercise and go to the gym, but how do we move in ways together that can bring us joy? So we're really, doing some things like trying to work in stores, but then also trying to learn from everyone, like having conversations about what do people want to see, like what's already happening that we can lift up, what's missing. So really trying to work in partnership with lots of different folks in the city and throughout to make some changes.
Wonderful. And why does this work matter to you?
It matters to me because, like I mentioned before, it just is unimaginable to me that where you live can impact your life expectancy, and that's unacceptable. And everyone has, we're all stronger together and better if we can help each other. And I think it's both helping other people live their best life, but then I wouldn't be able to live my best life unless everybody else has access to being able to be healthy and thrive.
Absolutely. And how can people get involved with Get Healthy Philly?
So I think we said we are doing this Healthy Communities project right here at Marrero, so definitely, visiting the library, seeing what are the programs and resources there. We're doing work in schools, we're doing work in daycare settings. You can follow us on social media, you can talk to me personally. We also have a Facebook page where we're trying to have resources available, so for Philly Powered, it's a program where can you have free and low-cost ways to move throughout the city, not just in the library. So we're trying to get the word out there, and then constantly thinking about ways we can get the word out there for people that are not online too. So thinking about that as well.
Alrighty. So now we're going to be moving towards kind of like a different effort that the Healthy Communities Initiative has also been working. We have a new community garden. And that community garden has been helped by Greensgrow. And so we have here Ryan, who is the executive director of Greensgrow, and he's going to be doing some talking about gardening with us. So he's going to teach us some stuff, and then we're going to ask him some questions. Go ahead. Hi, Ryan. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan from Greensgrow. I brought a couple props today because it's always nice to have some green space, even inside, right? We have a nice, beautiful community garden outside, and thanks to everyone here who really helped, we moved in a tremendous amount of soil in just a couple hours the other week. And I was just peeking through the fence the other day, and it's things are already starting to grow. We're having wonderful weather, and so we're really excited about what's going to come out of your space here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So again, same question. What does health and wellness mean to you? That's going to be the first one.
Well, I think building upon what everyone else said, I think of our body as the greatest resource we have, and to me, health and wellness means feeling like that body can help us achieve our goals, that we have the resources internally to get where we want to be in life, that we can move through the world with confidence, with power, and with agency to really make it the life that we want to live.
Awesome. And tell us a little bit more about Greensgrow and its role in improving health around Philadelphia.
Sure. So Greensgrow is a nonprofit urban farm. We're one of the first urban farms sort of in post-industrial Philadelphia. And we started on a brownfield, a piece of land. We have a whole city block in Kensington, not too far away, that was actively poisoning the neighborhood. This was a factory that had used heavy metals to coat steel and was a toxic space in a neighborhood. And the idea of Greensgrow was, can you take places like this and not only clean them up, but turn them into things that are actually positively improving the neighborhood around them. And so we have a farm and a garden center, and we grow food, we educate people, we have workshops and youth programs, and we also take produce out into the neighborhoods and feel like, how can this be a hub of wellness to really inspire healthier communities for everyone around the city?
Alrighty, that was great. What kind of partnerships do you have with community organizations?
Sure. So we partner with everyone, and we have a couple different programs, like the garden building program, that we can come and actually put a garden in spaces with community partners like libraries. We also have a mobile markets program that goes to libraries, senior centers, where if you're in a neighborhood like this where maybe it's harder to access fresh produce, we can work with our farm partners, bring a mobile farm stand, set up a market that has fresh fruits and vegetables in your neighborhood, and work with the community partners to do that and provide outreach in that way. We do education programs, so whether you can bring a school group to the farm and get a hands-on demonstration experience in what that looks like, or sometimes coming to your school too and figure out how can we make plants a part of your daily life. I love plants. I think they're incredibly powerful. In some ways, they're the easiest way you can change the physical world around you. Anyone can plant a seed, and that seed can grow into something that can take over this entire room, right? And so I love the power of plants to immediately transform how you experience the world around you, how you can influence your neighborhood, the way it feels, the power, right? Plants can save you money, they can make you healthier, they can change your mood, plants can improve your mental health. And so I really am excited about how the ways that plants and food can interact in all different facets of our life and really build wellness in this holistic way that we're talking about today. Some of the easiest things to grow are houseplants that can just sit in a windowsill, and they can actually improve the air quality of where you're living. And so you're looking at this every day, and it's filtering that air, it's creating a positive environment, it can help reduce asthma and all kinds of other things that we are subject to living in a city like Philadelphia.
Alrighty, wonderful. That was all great information. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for bringing us some green. Thank you. It doesn't turn off yet. Alrighty. And so now we're going to be showing like within the broadcast, there's going to be a video that's going to be showing. And so it's about a 30-second video. And so we're going to have a moment of like awkwardness while the broadcast has this video for the folks that are watching outside. What was that? Oh, yeah. Can we? Can we get some smell?
The Garden is a collaborative effort with librarians Tuesday and Maika, Library Outreach Coordinator Tania Maria, Healthy Community Coordinator Aurora, and LEAP Maker staff Jessica and Olivia. Each Thursday, Tuesday, Jessica and Olivia provided lessons about gardening. The lessons included composting with worms, soil layers, parts of flowers, plant cycles, habitats, and more. They planted seeds such as carrots, lavender, and green beans, and several herbs. They had presentations from Norris Square Neighborhood Project on companion planting and nutrition. They worked closely with Green Grow to design and implement the garden space. LEAP Maker staff taught the students how to use tools, hammers, nails, and saws, safely to build birdhouses. They even have their own butterfly kit. The whole purpose of the garden is to encourage healthy relationships with food. They will incorporate the veggies from the garden and create cooking demos. The garden also helps with the emotional state of mind. It increases happiness and well-being. Gardening uses all the major muscle groups, the muscles that do most of the calorie burning in the human body: legs, buttocks, shoulders, stomach, arms, neck, and back all get a workout. Gardening also increases flexibility and strengthens joints. They will also be using the garden space for healthy communities such as yoga or jump rope club.
Alrighty, so welcome everyone. Thank you for being here once again. Thank you to Ryan from Greensgrow from the information about gardening and the power of plants and the power of greens. Now we're going to have a local activist. Her name is O. Please give a round of applause to O. Thank you. Thank you for being here. You can go ahead. Oh, thank you. Let me pass this way. Perfect. And I think you need to grab this. So we want to start this section with a short meditation practice that we were hoping that you were going to help us and guide us through. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Wonderful.
So how many of you know stress? Raise your hand. Yeah, how about that? Yeah. Where do you keep stress in your body? Everywhere, right? In your head. I see people pointing in their heads, in their shoulders, stomach, back. Right. So stress is something that we know all too well. One of the most powerful tools that you can use to alleviate stress, you have with you 24 hours, 7 days a week. Who knows what that is? Breathing. So in this moment, I'm going to invite you to take a breath, a real full deep breath. And then let that go. Now I'm going to invite you to take another breath. And let that go. We're going to do that one more time. Full deep breath. And let it go. Do you notice anything different? What do you notice?
Heart rate.
Heart rate. You want to say more about that? Oh, you have one.
Yes, I have one of these. Heart rate goes down.
Yeah. What did you notice?
I noticed that I don't feel any pain in my back anymore.
Right.
Because I've been stressed out, getting so much work from Bible school, doing it, and sitting down a lot, that I've been feeling pain from my back to my knees. And once I start, I do a lot of yoga as well. I do that every day, and I start noticing that I don't get any more stress, and it's going down.
When you breathe, right. Because often what happens is when we're experiencing a lot of stress or tension, we tighten. Everything gets tight and we contract. Sure. And so what ends up happening is we're actually depriving every single cell in your body of oxygen. Right. And so that's why the power of breath is so amazing. And no matter where you go, you have that with you, right? So I'm going to invite you to do that one more time. Another full deep breath. And let it go. So my invitation to you is, before you go to bed every night, do 3 full deep breaths. And before you put your feet on the floor in the morning, do 3 full deep breaths. And whenever you feel that tension in your stomach, or you feel it in your head, feel it in your jaws, do 3 full deep breaths. How's that?
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Alrighty. So, what does health and wellness mean to you?
I think health to me actually literally does mean the freedom or liberation from dis-ease. Because what happens is, when you have a lot of dis-ease, eventually that dis-ease becomes disease, right? Dis-ease becomes disease. And so a part of the challenge, I choose to believe, is exactly what you're doing right now, which is the community building. We need to reclaim each other. We need to find each other. We need to create space and time where we share meaningful conversations. We've lost the art of meaningful conversations. We're so used to the sound bites. And so in my grandmother's time, they used to have these things called Tupperware parties, right? Yeah, right? Tupperware parties. Well, I think we need to have fun parties, right? Where we come together and we really get to reclaim each other. So health to me means coming together as liberators and interrupting what my sister spoke of earlier, which is racism, classism, sexism. All of these isms are systems that have been set up for us to compete against each other, especially sexism. Sexism is one of the most powerful systems that have been put in place so that women across lines, racial lines, economic lines, educational lines, we end up competing against each other in order often to get the attention of men. And I love my brothers. I think my brothers are wonderful. But we need to interrupt how we compete against each other so that we can begin to collaborate. A part of health is, I was a massage therapist for 25 years, and so I had the opportunity to massage professional athletes. And if you ask any professional athlete, if they haven't taken 18 million Tylenols, how their body's feeling, what you're going to find is they're in a lot of pain. And my belief is the way in which we have normalized competing against each other, our whole city is in pain. Our whole country is in pain. Our whole planet is in pain because we have systematically stepped into competing to be seen, competing to be heard, and competing to be valued. And so part of the challenge is, I don't want to compete against my sister. I want to love my sister, right? I don't want to compete against my white sisters or my Latina sisters or my black sisters. I don't want to do that. That's not why I was designed. I was designed, in truth, to love you. I was designed to love. And to me, a part of health is about reclaiming our birthright to actually love each other, because that would interrupt all of these forms of violence.
You can keep that. You get to keep that. So my next question was, I think you've answered with all of you, but I'm still going to ask it. You call yourself a love activist.
Yes.
And I just wanted to know, what does that mean to you?
Yes, yes. This is a culture that's rooted in fear. We manipulate and control everything with fear, right? Economic instability, food deserts, war, competition, scarcity. But we know that if you take a single seed, we know this, especially as women and awakened brothers, you can take a single seed and turn that seed into a forest. There is no scarcity on this planet. None, zero, zilch, nada. Right? And so we have been enculturated to fear each other. Well, I'm an advocate for love. I'm a love activist. Right? I was designed to love you. I was designed to love you. And so, unfortunately, we have sexualized love. And often that's why we pull back from saying we love each other, because we think that's got some sex thing going on. But real love, like when I plant a seed like this, and the sun touches that seed, that's love. Right? And then it grows. And so for me, love is the opposite of fear. And love says, I recognize your sacredness. I recognize your holiness. I recognize that you are a miracle, and you are worthy of nothing less than respect. And so to me, that is reclaiming who we really are as community members, where we learn how to grow in love with each other and stop being afraid of each other. Because I love you.
Oh, man. I'm holding tears here. This is bad. You do a lot of things here in North Philadelphia, I believe.
I do.
And so I just wanted to know, how do you support the journey of North Philadelphia into being healthier and happier?
Thank you. That's a beautiful question. What I did first was I invited you to breathe, and that's what I do with the community. I invite the community to breathe. There was a situation going on across the street where there was domestic violence, right? Unfortunately, we know that all too well. And they were out on the porch screaming and hollering at each other, children crying. And I was at a choice point. And the choice point was, not my business, not my problem. And I could get hurt. But that's not what love does. And so what I did was I took a breath, I got myself grounded, and I went over while they're screaming and hollering, and I said, somebody needs to breathe. Right? And what happened was they weren't expecting that. They were expecting me to shame them, make them bad, scream and holler at them. But instead I just said, somebody needs to breathe.
Or everybody.
Everybody needs to breathe, right? And so, one, believe it or not, as simple as it is, I invite the community to breathe. That's number one. The second thing, we are involved with an organization called Serenity Solar. And Serenity Solar is spelled, the solar part of Serenity Solar is spelled S-O-U-L-A-R, because we recognize that we need to reclaim our birthright to care for the soul. And so Serenity Solar is a nonprofit organization that is bringing, teaching young adults how to install solar panels on rooftops. And so we're committed to environmental justice, environmental education, also learning what does it mean to really have self-respect and respect of other, and creating, hopefully, in the conversation with this green movement that's happening in Philadelphia, to create excellent income in their pockets, right? Because we need green job money where people are getting paid a minimum of $15 an hour, if not $25 an hour, $30 an hour, because our people are worth that. And so we're a part of the movement of Green Philadelphia and working with the young adults in learning how to install solar panels.
Alrighty, that's amazing.
Yes.
What an amazing kind of work you do.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here.
And thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Give it a round of applause for all. You can use that. Can I give you a hug?
Yes, of course. Yeah, thank you.
Alrighty. I didn't cry. I made it. I should pat myself in the back. Alrighty, so now we're going to invite Tyra Johnson. Thank you, Tyra, for coming as well. So Tyra is from a local organization that supports young people and women to take healthy decisions and combat domestic violence, right?
Yes.
And the organization is called Women's Solar Project?
The Women's Solar Project.
Wonderful. So come in and sit down with us. Alrighty. Let me squeeze in here. So first tell us a little bit about this Women's Solo Project. I actually don't know much about it, so I would like to learn. Yes, you have to grab one of those.
So the Women's Solo Project is a organization, nonprofit, that I founded in 2009. We work with women and girls in the city of Philadelphia, educating them on domestic violence prevention and awareness. I started this organization because I am a survivor of domestic violence. And at that moment, I didn't want to tell anyone. I didn't want anyone to know that I was abused. And the fact that I was being abused, not only to mention that I was pregnant, and I was being abused by my abuser, who I was pregnant by. I had had enough. And while pregnant, did not want to be a single mom, but I knew I had to make a better choice and a better life for myself and my child. In doing that, I was in the hospital as a bad beating, and I almost lost my daughter as a result of that. However, I knew that I needed some type of grounding in leaving this person. And I got on the floor in the hospital and I prayed at that moment, and I asked God to give me the strength to do so, to get out of this situation. And miraculously, it was Him allowing the doctor to come in and say, because I was in labor at that time and I was only 4.5 months pregnant. The doctor came in and said, oh, it seems like, everything is subsiding. You're doing well. We're going to have to keep you overnight, but you're no longer in labor. So I knew that prayer worked at some point. And then they released me from the hospital, and I said to myself, no longer will I ever be a victim. So I had the baby. She was actually 4 days late. So it was good that I followed those steps of what I had to do. And I knew that I no longer wanted to be viewed as a victim of domestic violence, but as a survivor. So 9 years into doing that, I started the Women's Solo Project, doing a lot of research and commitment and dedication, training, certifications, just to get myself out there to let others know that you too can no longer become a victim or a statistic, but you can become a survivor. So I started the Women's Solo Project simply because I no longer wanted to see the women in my community suffer, just as I did. And thank God I partnered with the Philadelphia Library just out on a whim, coming in and asking, hey, could I do some of my workshops here? And Tuesday said, sure, you can. And she actually allowed me to come in and do my 6-week workshop where we do domestic violence prevention and awareness and life skills and art therapy and financial literacy, which is very key to a lot of women just trying to start over or to get out of a domestic situation, learning to be sustainable on their own, self-sufficient. So I was asked to come here to work with young women, and it kind of changed. I wanted to initially, give them some information on teen dating violence prevention. And they were so enamored by the information, but they had me go another way. And they wanted me to work on their mental health. And to my surprise, I was like, this is something that's much needed, because these were young girls, some still in high school and junior high, and they wanted to learn how to care for themselves. So I'm glad I'm in the community doing what I'm doing because I absolutely love it. This is my community. I don't currently live here, but I'm from North Philadelphia, and this is where I need to give back. So this is why I come to this area to service the community.
Awesome. And what does health and wellness mean to you?
Health and wellness means to me to have a happy spirit, a happy mind, a happy environment. Sometimes we live in our everyday lives and we are bogged down by just life itself. And we have to learn how to just deal with those issues. But when we take care of ourselves, having things, I know that I use yoga as a way to escape. And health and wellness is key. I mean, that's the only way we have to live. If we're healthy and we're well, we're eating right, we're thinking right, we're doing right.
Wonderful. So as you explain the Women's Solo Project, I see all the connections in the ways that you are helping the community be healthier. But you also mentioned the stigma that there is, and when you talked about your own personal experience, how you didn't want to come forward and engage in that conversation with anyone about the fact that you were having some issues. So how can we as a community help with the stigma around violence, domestic violence, and being a victim of it?
Honestly, I love what my sister O said, that just bringing love to others, letting folks know that we're there for you, no matter who you are, where you live, what you look like, what your culture is. Bring a sense of community to everyone. Don't let folks feel as if they're outsiders or cast out because of what they look like or what they've been through. I know that I never really shared my personal issues, but once I got in therapy and gotten help, it was good to talk about it. And then I found folks who were able and willing to share their love and their connections with me. So I think just to have an open forum, an open mind, where folks would be able to come and sit and talk to you. If I didn't even know you, and if I see that you're open and you're willing to give your time or just your lending ear, that's all we really need. It's just to be able to voice our opinions or what we're going through. That's key. That's really key.
Actually, when you mentioned the Tupperware party, I thought of a listening party.
A listening party is good.
I think we need that. All righty. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your personal story. Yes. I know that can sometimes be painful. So thank you for sharing it with all of us. And thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All righty. So that is it for the show. Thank you so much to everyone that came. Thank you for the folks that had the conversations with us and that shared it with you all. I hope we all learned stuff. I hope we have better tools and better understanding of what we need to do to be more connected and to be healthier and to care for each other more, since all of those structural issues that have been mentioned are big, and we need to support each other in order to fight them and overcome them. And so I want to thank everyone. I also want to say that you can find more information about the People's Media Collection and the Philly Cam, which is what made this live broadcast also possible, and they're partners with the Healthy Communities Initiative. So they have a website, phillycam.org, and also the peoplesmediacollection.org. So you can look them up in there. There's also archives of this kind of events, and so you can look at them in there, and I'm sure this will be in there as well. And for those of you that are still here, we're going to have, like I said earlier, some refreshments and time for us to engage with each other and to talk. I want to invite you folks, since there are several people here still, if you have ideas of things that the community needs, if you have thoughts about issues or problems that are not being taken care of right now, and you want to talk to us, please do. We want to listen, and we want to try to help, and we want to make things, improve things, and cooperate and work with you all. So thank you. Thanks for coming. Oh yeah, and now we can eat. All righty, can I go?